Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be discussing some questions that I have for authors. Before we get started, I would like to get a couple of things out of the way.
So there is a hijab pin stuck in my, you guessed it, hijab. Please ignore.
The first of which being that I am filming not at 3 a.m., right? Progress, we stand, but it is midnight. That being said, it's still pretty late, but not late enough for my family to be asleep, so you'll probably hear them in the background. There's not much I can do about that. There's particularly a little boy who doesn't want to go to sleep. So if you hear crying, ignore it. I am. The second thing I want to discuss is that I am not making this video to be nasty or mean or anything like that. It seems like great fun. So let's have some fun. Another note that I should make is that I crafted a lot of these questions with YA fantasy, the genre and authors in mind in particular. So that's where my headspace was. And the first question I thought up while reading Beyond the Flame, because this is a thing that I thought while two characters were having an intimate/romantic moment. Yeah, I love sabotaging myself. Yes, you can hear my siblings in the background, and I hate them for it. If they're watching this, I hate you for this. How dare y'all try and leave your rooms and exist while I'm trying to record. The first question I have for authors is, how can you write your characters to be attracted towards one another, knowing that they haven't brushed their teeth, changed their clothes, taken a bath, washed their bum, all of the above? It's a common plot device, I guess, for there to be a scene in a fantasy where the characters are traveling somewhere, they're on a journey together, right? It's fun to read, it's fun to read, it's fun to read. But usually while on this journey, things go awry, right? Like these characters kill things, they don't have time to brush their teeth, they usually don't even pack a toothbrush, they don't really bathe regularly, which is whatever, they're sweating, they're covered in blood, dirt, whatever. And somehow in some of these books, the characters still find it within themselves to feel attraction for one another, which is gross, kind of. Sometimes whenever characters are having intimate scenes in books where like I know they smell rape, I just think to myself like, wow, they must be holding back a gag and they're just not describing it for our benefit, right? Like they're just not telling us, because as readers we expect perfection from our characters, we expect perfection from these books, so they're just swallowing back a gag for our benefit. How brave, how brave. Or maybe these characters just don't care that they smell, like, because I know they could smell themselves, right? Like whenever you smell kind of ripe, you know, you're like, oh, I need to put deodorant on, or oh, I need to take a shower, oh, I need to, you know, not smell bad for the sake of everyone around you. Like you're able to smell yourself. So maybe they just love each other despite it, despite being not perfect, right? They love each other despite smelling, which is the definition of unconventional love. So maybe I'm just heartless, but I genuinely think to myself during some of these scenes like, oh, they probably smell bad. Yikes. Yeah, so this is just a question that I have, like, do authors really think to themselves like, oh, these characters probably smell, but it's whatever, like their teeth probably are not clean and their mouth probably is cottony, but it's whatever because they love one another. Here I will add an asterisk. None of these questions that poke at like some kind of like flaw or whatever, none of these questions, especially this first one, none of them apply to Sarah J. Maas, because as we all know, her characters are the embodiment of perfection, right? They have literally no flaw. No flaw, not one, not even their human bodies or fae bodies being smelly, because that's for people like you and me, right? They're for people who aren't perfect, who aren't Rhysand and Feyre. So like we all know that all of Sarah J. Maas's female characters smell like insert flower here, and all of Sarah J. Maas's male characters smell like insert manly scent here. I don't know, Old Spice. They smell like Old Spice. And when they sweat, if there is the off chance that Sarah J. Maas describes one of the characters as glistening with sweat, just know that it is Fiji water, not sweat, because they're not disgusting like us. And then also, I wanted to talk about Crescent Thorn, which, So in the Lunar Chronicles series, in the third book, there is this trope of a journey in which Crescent Thorn crash land in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and obviously it's not the best environment, especially if you're not prepared for it. And so Cress is like pining over Thorn. He's like the first guy she's ever seen, and she's like in love with him. She's convinced herself that she's infatuated in love with him, like they're soulmates. And Thorn is like, whatever, he's going through his own issues. And so they're walking in the desert, and Cress is like, oh, I hope he kisses me, I hope he kisses me, I hope we like do something, I hope we like end up together, whatever, mama. Now kiss. That's what she wants, that's what's going on in her mind. And Thorn is like, what's going on? And so she like said something about how she wants him to kiss her. And then Thorn goes, I literally have not brushed my teeth in like over a week. I smell bad, I look bad, stay away from me. And that is the definition of a true man. Someone who knows he stinks and wants you to stay away from him. Oh, we love a self-aware king. We love a self-aware king. So yeah, I just thought that was funny and like a perversion of this question, because Marissa Meyer, she be thinking like these are human beings and they smell sometimes. So the next question I have is also for fantasy usually, but it's, how do these characters that you write have so much energy? Like, please tell me the secret. So when it comes to fantasy, there are a lot of elements to a story that are unrealistic, but I deal with it, right? Like the magic systems that are implemented in these stories, whatever, I'm down with it. The environment, the world building, the history, all of it is fabricated, we both know it, but we're down with it, I'm okay with it. It's unrealistic, but it's like in the fictional way that I expect it to be unrealistic. The fact that these characters have to save the world yet again, whatever, I take that in stride. The fact that these characters have to find their soulmates before they're 17 or they die, I don't make the rules, it's a thing that happens. I'm fine with that. But the most unrealistic thing that bothers me is the fact that these characters have so much energy to just do things. Like, where is this coming from, sir? Ma'am, are you doing crack in the morning that you're not telling me about? Like, what kind of drugs are y'all on? Because I want a piece of that. These characters are asked for so much, like they're asked to do so much. And still they like wake up like at the crack of dawn and they train all day and like they do things and they see people and they don't want to crawl up and die and sleep all the time, which is whatever. And they don't have like panic attacks every 2 seconds because so much is expected of them. Like, they're just so different. They're a different breed of human beings. They're too well put together. I just need to know the secret. Also, when it comes to energy, right, like a lot of that is diet, right? How you eat impacts your energy and how you sleep and all of that, right? I would argue that I have a more well-balanced diet than these characters, especially in fantasies, especially with these poorer characters, because they eat the weirdest shit because that's what they can afford. They eat like rabbit skin and twigs and rotten fruit that they steal from a vendor's little cart at the end of the day, which is morally, but they have the most they have the most imbalanced diet, and yet they still seem to have all the vitamins they need to get up in the morning and want to do things. Like, sir, if I miss a supplement, if I don't take a B12 pill in the morning, I will sleep the entire day and try again the next day. Oof, these characters are putting me to shame. Maybe that's why I'm so hurt. These characters are putting me to shame. Like, literally today I woke up at noon and I took a nap at 3, and that was my day. And even on my like most busiest, because I'm on break right now, even during my most busiest times where I have work or school in the morning and then I have work and then I have, you know, like I work out and I like do all of these things, I hang out with my friends. Even on my most busiest days, I still manage to get at least 7 hours of sleep and I still feel tired the next day. So how do you have the energy? That is the most unrealistic thing in my opinion. Please tell me that these characters have like a day where they just sleep all day and they don't talk to one another, because I can't imagine all these characters wanting to do things with each other all the time. Okay, the next question I have is more applicable to YA as a whole, as like a whole subsect of books. And it is, why do all of your heroines go for literally the worst guy? Literally the worst guy. Whatever heroine you're thinking about, she went for the worst guy. Which obviously is hyperbolic. There are cases of well-balanced relationships where heroines go for guys who aren't utter trash. But there are too many cases of the heroine going for the worst guy, literally the worst guy. And if you don't know what guy I'm talking about, right, I'll describe him and a light bulb will go off, because YA authors love double dipping and using the same character archetypes. And this one is a very prevalent one. He probably has dark hair, colored eyes, or maybe dark eyes. But yeah, these guys are typically arrogant and rude and selfish and emotionally abusive sometimes, a lot of the times. And you know that these characters are bad when an author needs another book and a half to explain to you why the main character sees something in him, why he deserves love and affection, probably because he has a traumatic background, which don't we all? And it justifies his poor behavior. Or he was secretly kind all along, or like insert random explanation here. If they treat the main character like trash, then and she still goes for him, like that just why would you want to write these characters for young girls to model their lives after? Why? Like, these characters typically hurt and humiliate, which you could see the Wicked King and the Cruel Prince over there. These male characters, the worst characters, typically humiliate the main character. They make her feel worthless, they make her feel like trash, they make her feel like not great, not healthy, not a healthy relationship, and still she goes for them. Obviously abusive relationships happen in real life, and there are a million reasons why people end up in abusive relationships, but why would you write it in such a romantic way in books, right? Like, it would be one thing if an author were to sit down and think to themselves this question, like as an actual thing. Why do I want my heroine to end up with literally the worst guy? And they come up with the answer of, oh, I want to write a toxic relationship to illustrate the dangers of a toxic relationship, because literature is powerful and my audience is impressionable to an extent. But that's not the case. You know that's not the case. We both know that's not the case with a lot of these YA authors. A lot of it is wish fulfillment. They want the bad boy. And so when they sit down and they think to themselves, why do all of my heroines go for literally the worst character? The answer is probably because I had a crush on this guy in high school and I wanted to end up with him, so I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna write that happily ever after. And then the last question that I have is, how were all of your characters literally the embodiment of perfection? And by this I mean particularly in fantasy, because in contemporary we have like the excuse of makeup and like plastic surgery and all of that. Like, we have ways to make ourselves look good, right? But in fantasy, especially since most of these are set in like the olden timey times, there are no dermatologists, there are no dentists, there are no plastic surgeons, there are no plastic surgeons, there is no Facetune. Like, how are all of these characters literally the embodiment of perfection? I use literally a lot, but literally, how are they the embodiment of perfection all the time, 100%? Why are all of your characters, like, why none of them have dry skin, none of them have acne, none of them have cystic acne, acne scars, none of them have stretch marks, none of them have birthmarks that are in inopportune places, none of them have moles, none of them have like skin ailments that a lot of us have. Like, I broke out this week and none of these characters deal with that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Especially with their poor diets. Are you kidding me? One caveat though is fantasy authors love implementing scars, right? Scars. Only if they're attractive and mysterious. Only if they're attractive and mysterious. They're literally so perfect, and it's the small details of like none of these characters having, you know, dry lips and overgrown eyebrows and pimples. I don't know, it's stuff like that. I'm like, really? These authors sat down and described their characters to a T. They're like, okay, this is my character, they have this color skin, this color hair, this color eye, this color whatever. And none of them thought to themselves, oh, maybe they have pimple, because that's what I looked like as a teenager. Maybe they have a gap in their front teeth. Maybe they have a mustache that they need to shave. Maybe they have something that they're genuinely insecure about. Yeah, so these are my questions. Let me know if you guys have any questions of your own that you'd like to ask authors. What else is there to say? I had a lot of fun filming this. I had a lot of fun coming up with a handful of questions, even though I rambled a bit. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I am Sarah, and this is Read with Sarah.